This is the Mixtape podcast. I am your host, Mark. If you enjoy this week's episode, please feel free to rate it 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can find over 140 archive episodes just by visiting themixtapepodcast.com. And there you will also find the link to my Mixcloud. On the Mixcloud channel, you can also hear the music that my guests pick for their mixtape. Also on the website are my social media links and YouTube channel. You can find all of that good stuff at themixtapepodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode. That was Unforgettable Days, the debut single from The Tortured Souls, and I'm absolutely delighted now to be joined by Justin from the band. How are you, mate?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Thanks for having me along.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure. So Unforgettable Days, your debut single. Tell us a little bit of your origin story as an artist and what's brought you to this point, mate.
Sure, buddy. Well, it wasn't a planned thing. My brother and sister are both musicians. I used to sing in a funny old garage band, decades ago. But this record and that single, it wasn't really a planned thing. I saw a guitar one day in a music store a couple of years ago. I felt like I needed to come to peace with some crappy things that had happened in life, and I thought that might be a good way to do it. And I wrote this song, and then from that song, the others flowed, and within about 6 months, I had 11 or 12 songs, and I went down to Poon's studio in East Fremantle, where Rob Grant is, and he's amazing, and he's got all this fantastic vintage recording equipment, analog equipment. So I just went there just to put the songs down for me, just guitar and vocals. And then when Rob heard them, he was just like, "Look, Justin, I think we should do more with these songs." And then I sort of called a couple of people. Rob called a couple of guys out of the Sleepy, Jackson, and then we hooked up with Tony later from Eskimo Joe and the Waifs, and the record came about, just spontaneously, and everybody that was involved. It was this great thing where we didn't plan the songs. We didn't say they had to be a certain way, or we wanted, a particular instrument to be doing, something, a certain style. That everyone just gave the songs what they felt was best in the moment. And Unforgettable Days was the first song of the album. And so we decided to make that the first single as well.
So you touched on it there. That was my follow-up question was, have you got more songs in the bag and can we expect an album sort of, a bit further down the line, yeah?
Yeah, look, I'm hanging out to get the album out, mate. The guys, the PR team and the marketing, the digital marketing guys over East, they're calling the shots, but we've got this one single that came out 2.5, 3 weeks ago. We've got another one that's due out on the 8th of May, and then another one maybe 5 or 6 weeks after that. And I'm hoping with that, the whole album will be able to get out there. We're doing a vinyl at the moment, and that's probably 2 months away. So it'd be nice if when that was finished, we could release the whole album, because it's funny, you've got this music and it's there, and I actually just want to get it out, right? And I'm doing what I'm told.
I get you, and I understand from a sort of PR marketing perspective. Like, I've got 2 of my biggest ever interviews just sitting there on my hard drive, but I can't put them out yet. Do you know what I mean? I've got a strategy and I've got a plan, and they've got to go out at a certain time. So I feel how you're paying there, mate.
Yeah, mate.
It's the biggest interviews I've ever done, and I want to get them out now, and I'm just sitting on it. But it'll make it better when they do come out. I'm sure it'll be the same for you with the album. Once it does finally come out, that'll be so good. As far as live stuff goes, is your debut gig, the Ron Sexsmith gig at the Roseman? Is that your first gig?
Yeah, it's sort of, buddy. Yeah, like what we did a little warm-up gig, which we didn't advertise and we didn't tell anybody about, down at Ode to Sirens in Fremantle, just to do something live with a few friends. We were thinking we might do another one on the 19th, the week before the Ron gig, but we're not too sure. That's sort of a maybe. But yeah, look, crazy, sort of nuts fortunate. I've loved Ron Sexsmith for years, and when the album was finished, I saw that he was doing this world tour, and I reached out to guys in the eastern states that were managing the tour and talked to them about doing the support. And they're like, look, Justin, there's no way if he hasn't heard your music that you're gonna get the gig. So we sent him the album, which is on Bandcamp but on private. So we sent that over. He had to listen to it, and then within a day or two, we got an email back welcoming us to the gig with him at the Rosemount. So, that's freaking mad, but lovely and amazing. So a great way to sort of start our music off, in a live capacity.
And no, for sure. That gig is Sunday the 26th at the Rosemount Hotel in Perth.
Yeah.
And you got tickets, link in your bio at _tortured_souls. Is that
Yes,
people
right.
get tickets through that? Yep, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's obviously
cool.
your social media pages as well. I'll see you there. I can't wait for the gig. I'm a big fan of Ron's myself, and had the absolute pleasure of interviewing him for the show as well. And he was a great guest.
Buddy. Yeah.
It was a great interview, and he was talking about one of his song choices. It was a Wings track, and he was like, yeah, because I was singing to Paul McCartney while we were having breakfast, and then he just like moved on, and I was like, well, hang on, we got to go back and hear a bit more of that story. You can't just drop a sentence like that, and I was having breakfast with Paul McCartney singing to him.
Yeah.
You need to know the full story there, mate. Yeah, it was a great interview. Yeah, and he's a lovely guy, and I can't wait for that show.
He's amazing, mate. And the thing is that for people that know him, like, they love him, right? And I love him. And for musicians like Paul McCartney, I think Rod Stewart's done one of his songs, but there's quotes from Bob Dylan and Elton John and, all these amazing musicians who actually think he's the real deal. And he's just cruised and done his own thing without, getting those mainstream sort of record sales, I guess. But he's as good as they get,
For sure. I had that exact conversation with him, Justin. I said, like, as a fan, like, we're simultaneously pleased that you're not gone mainstream because you're like our little like secret. Do you know what I mean? And it's better for us. You play smaller venues, but obviously we all know that you fully deserve, all the success and the record sales in the world. Great tell it was.
You're listening to the Mixtape.
The Mixtape is brought to you in association with Giglist. Giglist is your one-stop shop for all your live events. If you're looking to get out and experience some live music, you can filter by artist, venue, suburb or date. If you are an artist, it will take you less than a minute to list your gig for free on the website. The Mixtape brought to you in association with Giglist. Gigs in a list. All right, mate, let's get into your mixtape track choices then. So, as you know, the show's called The Mixtape, and when I get guests on, I like to ask them to pick a few songs and make up imaginary mixtape, and there's a way of exploring their influences and inspirations. So, track one, mate, Attention Grabber. What did you pick for that?
I don't know if it's cliche, mate, but I love that Elvis Presley, If I Could Dream, because when you watch that and it's just him on that black stage with Elvis and the words of that song and how the words of that song came about, after Bobby Kennedy was assassinated and everything that was going on in the US at that time with the civil rights movement. That song's just nuts, right? And he's just smashing it out. And it's, for me, like it's a goosebump song, I love it.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good, I'm 150 plus episodes into the show now, but I've got a pretty good memory. Are you familiar with a UK indie band called In Spiral Carpets? Do you know them?
No.
So the singer from that band picked that for his track 3 on episode 3. That's how long ago that was, about 3 years ago. Yeah, so that's the second time that track's been picked. Yeah, great one. All right, track 2, mate, is a song you sing in the car or the shower. What'd you go with here?
Well, it's a bit embarrassing, buddy, but I thought I just wanted to be truthful, right? So I don't know which one it's more. There's Born Free by Matt Monro, right? Because I heard that freaking song when I was 10 on a family holiday. But probably more than that, there's a Tom Waits song, which is Wherever I Lay My Head, and it gets down into this lower register and he sort of belts it out a bit. And when you're in the shower, you've got lots of echo and it's good, it works well.
I love it when people pick Tom Waits on the show because I'm a big fan of Tom
Yeah.
Waits. Yeah, that's a great choice. Track 3, mate, is what's your favourite cover version?
So again, it was hard. It was just hard nailing it to one. And I think Nina Simone's version of Suzanne that Leonard Cohen wrote,
Yeah.
she does a really. I mean, I'm just a massive Nina Simone fan. Practically everything she sings, I love because she's just so inside the song. And when you watch her, sometimes it's like she's in that moment and it's all consuming, right? But that's what makes the songs amazing when you're watching her. I love her version of that.
Nina Simone's got, for me, one of my favourite song titles of all time, which is Funkier Than a Mosquito's Tweeter. Absolutely love that. It's a brilliant track as well, yeah, but that's one of my favourite song
That's
titles of all time. Yeah, that's a great one. All right, track 4, mate. If you could play a song to your 18-year-old self, what song would you play?
Man, for a moment I was like, "What the freak? Like, what song would that be?" And then it was just like an absolute no-brainer, because I went through most of my life, well, all of my life until like a year or 18 months ago, not really knowing the music of Nick Drake. And there's a Nick Drake song called "Fly." And now that I know it, the other day I was watching the Royal Tenenbaums again, and it's on that movie. But that song for me is I was really moved when I first heard that song a year and a half, 2 years ago. I think it's played into some of the songs that I've written, or the feeling behind some of those songs. But I love his music, mate. I'm disappointed that I have lived a lot of my life and not had the benefit of enjoying his music. So yeah, I reckon Nick Drake, and I reckon the song would be "Fly."
I love a bit of Nick Drake. He doesn't get picked that often on the show, but I think he's a bit like Ron Sexsmith. He's sort of like one of them, if you know,
Yeah.
sort of artist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, love that.
And amazing, right?
Yeah. I read a magazine article back in the 90s. I think they'd just put out a compilation. I think Waiter Blue, Best of Nick Drake, had come out as a compilation, and they were plugging it in Mojo magazine. And I read an article, and I thought I'll go and buy that. And yeah, I've been a fan of his ever since then. Yeah, fantastic. Great choice, mate. Love that.
Yeah.
All right, track 5, Justin. If you were putting a song on your mixtape for a romantic interest, you want to let someone know you're keen, what song would you use for that, mate?
Right, mate. Like, it's funny, and I'm not. I swear, whether we were doing the Ron Sexsmith gig or not, or whether he was touring, but there's a song that he's got called "There's a Reason for Our Love," and I just love it. I think it's beautiful. I think the movement of it is lovely, and the way he sings it is so moving, and the words are fantastic. I think that would be the song that I would choose for that. It's a beautiful song.
Great choice. I was going to drop a Ron Sexsmith track into the show anyway, so you've done that one, picked that one for me there, so brilliant.
Oh, great.
Thanks for that, mate. Love that. And finally, for your mixtape, Justin, track 6 is a deep cut album track, B-side. What would you pick for that, mate?
So I hope it's B-side, mate. And it's tricky, but there's a song which a few people have done, and Nina Simone's done it, and Shirley Bassey's done it, and I know Frank Sinatra's done it, and it's called "If You Go Away." And it's this, oh man, it's this heavy song, because it's like the words are like, if you go away, the devastation of what I'll be left with, and then the second half of the verse is, but if you stay, and when the words start from "but if you stay," everything moves up in the tempo and the feel, and then it's about how wonderful life would be and how wonderful the world would be. But as the song moves on, there's this inevitability that they're going, right? And even within the words, this thing, but if you stay, but with the words that are in the verse, it's like the end is coming, and the words are reflecting that. It's a heavy song. It's a really heavy song, but brilliant and moving. And I'm surprised that, I mean, I'm sure maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it had some success, but it's an amazing song.
That's what the mixtape's all about, is sharing those deep cuts and getting those unheard gems out to people. Yeah, great choice, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. All right, Justin, we'll do a quick fire 5 just to round it out. I didn't send these for all, but that's fine. They'll be easy enough for you to answer, I reckon. The first album you ever bought, mate?
So I think it was called Let It Be, but I'm not. It's definitely a Beatles album, and I can see it. I was young, you know, but I'm sure it was Let It Be. If that's an album, if not, it's one of the songs on the freaking record.
That's a good one to kick your listening experience off with. What was the first concert you ever went to, mate?
First proper concert, to be honest with you, was a Lou Reed concert at the Perth Concert Hall when I was I think I was 16 or 17. Before then, I don't really think I had gone to a concert on my own to see music that I wanted to see. So to be Lou Reed.
Yeah, great one, mate. That's a good one to kick you off with. Who would be your dream collaborator, alive or dead?
Well, somebody just asked me that the other day, and I found it hard to answer, but again, without being silly, for the moment, probably Ron Sexsmith, because I just freaking love his music, and that would be an honor.
How good would it be if he gives you a nudge to come up on stage at the Roseman? That'd be fantastic. That'd be so good. All right. And what's your favourite Perth venue, mate?
Oh, my favourite Perth venue. Gee, that is tricky. I really like Ode to Siren at the moment because it's got a good vibe down there, and that front music room, which they don't use that much, is beautiful. But there's that Kidoko, I think that's how you say it, Kidoko Art House or something, that's right
on the beach there.
Yeah. And they don't have music there that often, but man, I've seen music there as the sun's going down and you're looking out, and they've got those, the sort of the lights sort of dangling down across that boardwalky area, and it's like freaking mad beautiful,
Yeah, that's a great spot to watch the sunset as well. Yeah, I love that there. It's great. Yeah. Fantastic spot. And finally, in the quick fire 5, if you could time travel to any concert in history, which concert would you see?
Oh, bloody hell, mate. I just don't know, because there's people that, there's people like Elvis or the Beatles that you would want to go to. I think right now I would do anything I could to see Tom Waits perform. So I don't know if there's a particular Tom Waits concert, but I would do anything to go back and see him perform, or do anything now to see him perform, because I think for me he's one of the people who I feel has played a lot of influence within me, like not just with this last record, but just the years of listening to his music and having it sort of move me so much. I think I would love to see him perform.
Fantastic choice, mate. That's a great one. I would as well. That would probably be on what high up on my list. Justin, thanks so much for coming on the show, mate. Really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Unforgettable Days is out now on all the streaming platforms, and you can follow the Tortured Souls at _tortured_souls. I'll see you at the Roseman on April the 26th.
Yeah, lovely.
Cheers, Justin. Thanks, mate.
Thank you so much. See you, mate.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's Mixtape. If you would like to get more from the Mixtape, you can catch up with over 150 archive episodes by visiting themixtapepodcast.com. Also there you'll find links to the YouTube channel, my social media pages and my Patreon if you would like to get even more content that doesn't go out on the radio show or the podcast. You can secure your Mixtape backstage pass. All of those links are available at themixtapepodcast.com. You've been listening to The Mixtape and I've been your host, Mark. Until next time.